This is Heather Shipley, and today we are working on the Amazing Dash project. Our students were challenged to develop a maze that was 20,000 cubic centimeters, and in that maze they had to include right angles, acute angles, obtuse angles. They had to include parallel and perpendicular lines, and they also had to include rays. They were to develop a course. They had to work together to figure out the size of their course, and then they were to create that course with Kiva blocks. Once they created their course, they had to use Dash. He's a very small robot, and they had to program him to go through the maze using different sounds, using different loops, and different blocks within the coding program.
So this is Dash 8. These students actually built a course that was 400 centimeters by 50 centimeters to reach their challenge of 20,000 square centimeters. And so what they did was they taped off all of the angles that were required in the rubric, and they even labeled them for how many degrees they were. They measured with a protractor. That's part of their curriculum. And then they coded using the Blockly app to maneuver Dash through the course.
We get to help each other out if we don't know something, but sometimes we'd argue, so we try and compromise.
I like the coding because we had fun with the iPads, and we got to make Dash move around the course, and we learned that it's easier to code than you think it is.
This group of students designed a course that was 100 centimeters by 200 centimeters in order to meet their challenge of 20,000 square centimeters. They built their course differently because they were able to design their own course, so they had complete control. As they had Dash go through the course, they set up the Kiva blocks, and they were scored based on how many got knocked over. And as we practiced, many blocks got knocked over. And so the kids had to really experience failure as part of the learning process. And so they just kept doing trial and error, retesting. They learned a lot about angles because Dash moves only in 15-degree increments. So they had to really discover what a 15, a 30, a 45-degree angle was. And he also only moves in 10-centimeter distances, so they had to really measure out how far Dash would go in order to prevent him from hitting the blocks.
Dash hit the blocks like 20 times at least. We had to change the courses. At first we were going to do 500 by 40, but we realized that we didn't have enough space for the turns, so we decided to do 100 by 200, and there's a lot of space.
The students love this lesson, one, because they get to play with Dash, two, because they get to think critically and they get to work together with their friends. They're able to program Dash to go through the maze and to see their work being accomplished. Not only were they learning about math and geometry, but they were working together to figure out how to get Dash through the maze. So this is something that I'm hoping that they're going to remember for a lifetime.